doing today? I want to talk about this beautiful plant today. This is my Philodendron McDowell. I've had her for, oh man, I don't know, 5 years. I bought it. It was an actual plant. It wasn't a runner. It had like maybe 5 leaves on it, I think. I'll walk over here and show you how big she actually is. This is a 4 plant. I've got her in a big, huge pot. I think it's like it's a round pot with a wide top. I think it's a 22-inch pot. I'll walk over here and you guys can see actually how big she is. Beautiful. Her big leaf right here. And then you can see right here is another new leaf coming out. But you can see how big she is. She's gorgeous. Anyways, I keep her in, I've always grown her in a pretty moderately high light level. You know, nothing super drastic. I do have humidity in my home around the 60% percentage area. Off and on. My humidity is never stable. It can get lower, it can get a little higher. So I would imagine I've had spider plants. Oh my god. I've had spider mites on this plant one time. But that was it. I sprayed her down with my neem oil solution and it all just, you know, it went away. And I've never had issues with spider mites on her again. But I do know that other people do have issues with this particular plant with spider mites, so, you know, it's just a luck of the draw, I guess. I keep her soil level. I do not let this plant dry out. I keep her at a moderately moist level in her soil. I repotted this plant last summer in about, I think it was July, and I put her into this bigger pot, and you can see the growth habit that I just showed you, how it grows over the pot, because it is a crawler, and it just crawls and crawls and crawls across. But I don't like the long pots. First of all, they're not deep enough. These have massive root systems, at least mine does, but it's a pretty big plant, and they have massive root systems on them as they get more mature. So, and I don't like the look of the square pots. I don't know. I just don't like them. I just don't like them. It's plain and simple. I have no excuse why I don't like them. I just don't. So as soon as she starts to grow over the edge of the pot, I just do air layering on this plant. That seems to be the easiest way to root out another plant, is by air layering for me. And then I just put her back into the back side of the plant. I will turn this plant around so you guys can hopefully see how my plant is growing in this pot. Okay, I turned her around. Now I'm gonna zoom in. You see how she crawls across, and then you can see her new shoot right there coming up, and then she's got that beautiful red sheathing, and then the new leaf is coming out. So, and you also, it's a good idea, I mean, in my opinion, you can see I have a lot of bamboo stakes in her to hold her up, because she does get wild and crazy when she's growing. She's got really long stems and a big huge leaf, and it tends to flap over, so it is a good idea to stake this plant. But you can see all of the rhizomes and how they crawl across. And you can see, like, when I propagated her before, I'll just air layer her, and when she gets a nice root system, I just plop her back here in the back of the pot. And that's how I do it. And you can see I still have a lot of room in the back. Yeah, I have a lot of room in the back of this pot for more cuttings. And you can actually also, like, let me, oop, oh, sorry, I kicked my tripod. Let me see, I'm trying to get, my camera keeps moving. Okay. You can also cut her, and as long as it has roots, like right here, you can cut that while it's in the soil. Like, say somebody would want a cutting of it or something, you can cut that right in the soil, cut it, chop it up, node in between nodes, and you'll get a bunch of different plants out of it. But so that way works also too, as long as it has, you know, some roots to it while it's touching the soil. But you can see mine is crawling. Where did it go? Mine is crawling up. See, there's the original rhizome, and it goes up, 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 and then she's crawling up and out of my pot, which is what it has always done. But anyways, it's not that big of a deal, really. Like I said, I just air layer her, and you can see the back. Some of the leaves are pointing towards the back because of my window, where I have her in between my windows and stuff. I'm going to turn her back around. She's so pretty. She's kind of scraggly looking at the back with all the poles and everything, but hey, it's reality, and it is what it is with this plant. It's a crawler, and the stems are really long, and then they get these big huge leaves, and you can see how some of the stems are like kinky. See how they grow? Some of that is user error also, but let me turn her around. So, yeah, it's a really easy plant, I think. You know, in my opinion, it's a really easy plant to grow. She grows beautifully as long as you have her in a nice bright light. No sun. Her leaves are very thin, and I think she would definitely burn. Keeping her soil evenly moist in the pot is very helpful. You don't want to keep her wet because I think when the roots start out, they're really skinny and long, but as time goes on and the plant matures, like mine is very mature, it does get the bigger, thicker roots eventually. God, I cannot talk today. But I think while the plant is in its less mature stage and the roots are smaller, you do want to be careful with the watering. because I have seen a lot of people complain about root rot with this plant, so you might want to keep that in mind. I have her in a real airy mixture, a lot of soil, a lot of perlite. You could see on the top of my pot when I turned her around, I have a lot of perlite in there with her. So she's got a lot of good aeration in her pot. Let's see, what else? Bug issues, yeah. Possibly. Like I said, I've had spider mites. I feed her every time I water her, and yes, that does include all winter long. When you're growing with grow lights, your plants are getting all that extra light, plus they're getting light from the window, so I continue to feed all winter long. I have a few plants that will miss a beat. You might even get some smaller leaves. I think a lot of that. My house isn't really super warm in the winter time. I have a lot of drafty windows, and my temps can get down to 64 in here, depending on the day, how cold it is outside, how much the wind's blowing. I live in Ohio, so we get some really, really nasty cold winters and windy. So I know that's a lot of my plants' issues, but it's like my McDowell right now. She's got new growths popping up. She's got 2 more coming in. So I'm going to continue to feed her, and as long as she keeps growing, I will continue to feed her, just like all my other house plants. So, and humidity, you know, mine does well at 60%, so, you know, that's all good. I can't really think of anything else to say about this plant except that she is gorgeous, and I absolutely love this plant. She's got the big, beautiful, pillowy leaves. She's got these beautiful white stripes coming down. The leaves do rip very easily. You can see I have, those are from stakes going through it. And this one, and I have dogtail happiness going on. That one I think, look, well no, she's got a little bit of damage right here from stakes. I've ran my fingernails through, you know, it happens. I don't worry too much about it. It's a plant, they have damage, no leaf is probably going to be exactly perfect. I don't worry too much about it. I do try to, as the plant continues to grow, I've always been kind of diligent about keeping the lower, smaller leaves cut off, and she has also makes little tiny babies. I've had a few of those that she's made. I just leave them in there. I've given 1 or 2 away to friends of the little babies, and they do well that way also, so she will make a baby. They're just the cutest little things. But I like to keep my plants cleaned up. I feel like the smaller, older leaves, you know, like the super duper tiny ones, like, let's see if I can zone in on, like right here. Ooh! You know, I keep those cut, and the plant has plenty of leaves to keep it sustainable, and I just feel like I want to cut them off and put more energy into the bigger leaves and into the newer growths. So, you know, I try to keep those cut down as my plant is older, has gotten older for me. I do that with all of my plants. I try to keep everything very clean. You know, keep the older leaves off, keep the sheathing off that has dried up, because that's where your bugs are going to be. You know, you don't want to keep old leaves sheathing and stuff like that on your plant. But it's a gorgeous plant. I recommend it. It's come down a lot in price now from when I bought it. I think I bought a I think it was like a 6-inch pot when I first bought her. And like I said before, I think she had like 4, 5, 6 leaves. And I think I paid like $60 for it. And that was like the first time I ever spent that much money on a plant. But they have come down in price now, so it's a beautiful plant to have, but you also have to have space for her because she, as you can see, she gets huge. But it's well worth taking up the space because she is just gorgeous. But I'm getting ready to air layer that part that is coming out. I just haven't done it yet, but I'm going to soon, probably within the next couple of weeks or whatever. And then that way she can get a good root system going, and then I'll just chop it, and then I stick the spag moss down into my soil and put a stake in and water it in really good, but I leave the spag on there. That way it gives her a chance to go from spag, the roots that are in the spag, and then the roots will eventually grow down into the soil, and the spag just breaks up over time. It's not that big of a deal. For me, I've not had an issue doing my plants in that way. You know, I take a little bit of the spag off. I don't want to break up the root, so it works for me. You just have to be a little more diligent about where you're putting that in your mother plant, and then the watering situation, making sure that you're watering it good and keeping an eye on it compared to the other plant, because you can just water it in that section. You don't have to water the whole plant. But I don't know. That's just how I do it. So I'm going to let you guys go. I think I covered everything with her, and I think she is gorgeous. I love her, and she's a beauty. I'm glad I got her, and as long as you're keeping that rhizome above the soil, being that it is a crawler, I don't think you really have too much problem feeding. Feed. Philodendrons love to eat, just like the anthuriums. They just love to be fed, and they will get beautiful root systems when you feed them, which in turn gives you a beautiful, beautiful plant foliage. And you know, as long as you're keeping your roots and your soil happy and healthy, you're going to have a happy, healthy plant. So, that's it. I am going to let you guys go, and I will talk to you later. Bye.